We are a week closer to baseball season. Technically, even though some other baseball has started. I know where Dustin would go with that. But this week, we got a lot to talk about. AL, NL Central previews. We got some more moves being made. All the top free agents seem to be signed, barring if I'm forgetting somebody. And we got a little shakeup with the Players Association. We're going to dive into all of it. So kick back, relax, because the third edition of Hitting Home, it starts right now. And welcome everybody back into Hitting Home, only here on 609 Sports Talk Radio, coming to you guys live today from where I'm living. It feels like summertime outside. I actually can see my grass again.
I mean, it was 60 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, they were in like we're in like the low 50s, high 40s this week. Now, whatever they think is coming this weekend, go out to the ocean. The ocean's lonely. Go put all that precipitation somewhere else. I'm not playing that game. But as always, we are your hosts, Sam Nelson, Dustin Reese. How we doing today, brother?
Better than Tony Clark's doing, I can tell you that much.
Okay. See, I'm going to try to keep this on a professional level today. If you went on and watched last night on DA After Dark, George Zolt and I made too many Tony Clark jokes last night. If you don't see DA on Tuesdays anymore, it's because the show's been canceled because social media saw what I said and you said, yeah, we can't have these guys around. So, look, I'm just going to keep it there. But anyway, we got a big show today. AL, NL Central predictions. Who's finishing last? Who's going to finish at the top? Two very interesting divisions to talk about. We'll get to that toward the end of the show. The remaining free agents are starting to get their teams. You know, Chris Bassett's in Baltimore. We'll talk about that. Zach Gallen basically took his qualifying offer back to Arizona. We'll talk about that as well. Phillies, they're in the news still. Bryce Harper still hates Dave Dombrowski. Nick Castellanos hates everybody. And now we're signing elementary school students. But we'll get to that as well. But big topic to start the show. Yesterday, Tony Clark is expected, will resign as the head of the Players Association. This comes following a report of an inappropriate relationship between Clark and his sister-in-law. And I believe it also stated that he hired her to work for the union in 2023?
Yes.
So, Dustin, we are about, March? It's almost March now. We're in the middle of February. We're about 9 months away from possibly not having this sport come back to us next year. And now the Players Association's head leader is out. Where do you want to start with this?
This was, in my opinion, the worst possible thing that could have happened to the players, because all the leverage they wanted to keep a salary cap out of baseball, your spokesperson for that leverage is no longer the spokesperson for your union. And from what I understand, his right-hand man, the deputy, or basically the one that works directly under Tony Clark, does not want to take the position because he doesn't want to be left with the mess that Tony Clark just left. So if your top two guys aren't willing to step up and become the president of your union, what type of argument can you bring to the table when the CBA negotiations start in December about not having a cap or having a cap? If you can't make a good argument, you're screwed.
So, I mean, right now, do we think this, does this have a major effect on, do we think, will there or will there not be a lockout? I mean,
I think there's a better chance that there's not now, because if obviously the owners are going to present the cap. They're going to have their own
Yeah.
rep. They're going to have everything that they want to present, and they're going to have their own arguments to be made. As of right now, the only arguments that are going to be able to be made are going to be from the players themselves as to why there should not be a cap. But if you still don't have a union head or like that union spokesperson that will lead your arguments, it's really not going to get anywhere. So then anything that the ownership's proposed to you, you don't have that head guy to basically do any counter offers. It's pretty much you're getting what you're getting, and you have no one that can counter our offer. So it's basically a take it or leave it.
I mean, this is not good timing. None of this is not good timing at all. And I think now, yeah, like when you don't have that person that will speak on behalf and you don't have that leadership now, are you basically because I mean, when's the CBA up? Isn't it like December the 1st?
I think it's December 7th.
Something, yeah, I was saying sometime early in December.
It's
So
right after the GM meeting. So right after the GM meetings, right before the winter meetings start, is when the CBA expires.
oh man, don't expire during the winter meeting. Before the winter meetings, that's always the best time. That's always a fun. Well, I mean, it used to be this week.
Really?
This year, kind of
Really, the winter meetings the last 5 years have been nothing.
I wouldn't say that. The last winter meetings that I actually was excited for was the year that the Phillies signed Trey Turner because that was still exciting. Now it's just like everyone's wait. You might as well do a weekly winter meeting special because everyone's waiting until February anyway to sign. So, but yeah, this is if I'm the players that I mean, who is going to take over for this? Like, if it's not going to be the guy that we just brought up, who is going to take over this?
Bryce Harper.
Okay. The same Bryce Harper that told the commissioner to get the heck out of their clubhouse because he approaching a salary cap?
Yeah, because he's probably really the only player that's not afraid to speak his mind to Manfred and the owners. Like, yes, these players are going to fight against having a cap, but Bryce Harper, to me, is like the only one that would actually kind of not hesitate to actually speak his real mind and be like, yada, 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 kind of what he did when Manfred was in the clubhouse about it. Like, Harper's one of those guys that's not afraid to speak that.
I don't disagree. No, Bryce Harper hasn't had an issue speaking against his own team's front office.
Yeah.
I mean, before 2021, when they were saying, look, we got to get more power in this lineup, and Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber were here about 3 months later. He's not afraid to speak his mind. But it's definitely going to be something that, I mean, I understand it's a players' association, but Tony Clark was not just for the players. He was their negotiator. Are they able to? Somebody jokingly brought up Scott Boras, and I actually laughed at it.
Scott Boras won't get involved in that because a lot of his former clients are in that.
Dustin, if Scott Boras got involved in it, we wouldn't have baseball for a decade.
We might never get it again.
we may not get it again. We may never get baseball again to save our lives. But yeah, no, this is definitely not ideal for the Players Association. Who, again, the biggest thing. It seems like the lockout's just going to come over one thing: owners want a salary cap, players will not. We have both said on this show now for 2 straight weeks, which, by the way, guys, so far, thank you for tuning into the first 2 episodes and putting the viewership up. We really appreciate it. But I think the biggest issue through the first couple of weeks that we've talked about is it's just going to come down to one wants a salary cap, one doesn't. We propose the salary cap along with the floor because you and I are both into the agreement that a bigger issue than just what the Dodgers are doing are teams like the Marlins that will trade away a player because they don't want to pay him in the future, and they'll just continue to not even try. They'll collect all the revenue from TV contracts, vice versa, whatever, and they don't want to spend any money at all. We've called teams out on that I've been calling teams out on that for months. Like I said, you can hate what the Dodgers are doing, but it's not the Dodgers' fault that other teams aren't trying. Mm-hmm. I get not being able to compete with the Dodger payroll. That's completely justice. You can't. The Dodgers have the biggest payroll in the sport. It's going to be impossible for teams like the Pirates, the Marlins, to compete with them, and I completely get it. But you can't sit here and tell me even the Pirates are trying. I mean, the Pirates, at least this offseason, are trying to improve. You know, they got Brandon Lau, they got Ryan O'Hearn, they signed Marcell Ozuna. They're at least giving an effort into trying to improve their team. There are teams that just don't care. And all they want to do is collect the revenue that they do get and just call it a day. That's not the Dodgers' problem, that teams aren't trying. Yeah. So I, for one, don't, like I said, we've proposed this for the past 2 weeks. You want to have a cap? That's fine. You got to have a floor, and you have to do something. I think the biggest thing that comes to this, even if the cap doesn't come to fruition, maybe we just come to this thing where, okay, you don't want a cap? So be it. You can't defer the entire contract 12, 15 years down the road.
Yeah, and that's going to be the other interesting thing, too, is the initial stuff that I've heard is Manfred wants the cap to be set at 275, and he wants the floor to be set at 150. So as long as you fall in that 150 to 275 range, you're fine, because at $150 million, if you sign 2 players for $35 million each, you're already halfway to your cap, or halfway to your floor. So, I mean, it's going to make it easier for every single one of these teams to add 1 or 2 superstars, which I think is the ideal plan for this, because they're trying to get more parity. They're trying to get every team to have like a big superstar to market. But the biggest thing that I've understood is when the salary cap comes in play, teams like the Mets, the Phillies, and the Dodgers are going to be given 3 years to get on. So all the contracts they have right now are going to be grandfathered in, obviously. But they are going to be given a 3-year window to get under that $275 million. If they do not get under that 275 window within 3 years, they are going to be forced to file bankruptcy, which means all the current contracts are going to be voided.
Yeah, so that caused a whole nother big issue of issues.
And that's where you said with the deferred money, where the Dodgers are going to use the deferred money thing as an argument, and then it's basically going to be like, you have more deferred money than what the salary cap is going to be. Like, you can't just hold on to this money and just hold on to it thinking that it's not going to be there 20 years from now. Like, they're going to give you a 3-year window to get under that cap, and if they don't, then you're pretty much having to blow everything up and start over.
Yeah. But again, if it's almost like it's not really comparable, but it's like the college football playoff, having more teams equals more competing, and not just the same stuff every year. If we stay in the same state that we're in, it's just going to be the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Yankees. Well, some of the Yankees. Even the Yankees aren't big fans of doing it the way the Dodgers are doing it, and they were doing it for the entire part of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But we're at a point now where, like we said, let's just go back to last week. We did the show last week.
The Kyle Tucker contract was the tipping point, mainly because the Blue Jays offered Kyle Tucker a 10-year, $350 million contract. The best offer anybody gave him was 10 years, $350. But yet he takes 4 at $240.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that players only care about the actual annual salary as opposed to the long-term financial stability. Players nowadays only care about what you're making per year as opposed to getting the length of your contract.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Phillies with Bo Bichette. Their asking price was $7, and I think it was like $233. The Phillies, all right, something around there. But either way, the Phillies matched it, and they said, "Okay, we'll do that." But then the Mets jumped in with, well, here's 3 for 26. Here's $42 million a year for you, and you can opt out after next year.
Yeah.
And that's the broken part of the contract thing. See, when Bryce Harper and Manny Machado did this, they wanted the long-term stability. Now, Manny did have an opt-out in his deal, which he ultimately exercised and got more money, but Bryce didn't want that. He wanted the long-term financial stability. He wanted to be somewhere long-term. He didn't want opt-out to this contract. But then, you got, Bryce Harper was the highest paid in the sport for 6 months? And then everybody else started getting signed. But no, we're at a point now where you're right, though. We're at this point where these guys don't care about the long-term stability. If they can make if you can make, just example, you can make $60 million in one season, then opt out, hit the market again. Sure.
Right.
Like Kyle Tucker may have the best year of his career strictly because he's in the same lineup with Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. I still personally don't think the Dodger Stadium fit for Tucker as well. It fits well because
Oh,
we
I
saw
do.
how Chicago went.
I do. 326 on the right field line with a 4-foot fence.
Yeah,
Just hit line drives
that's
out.
that is true. But if you're relying on dead pull down the line, then yeah. But I mean,
Left field
the rest of
is
them.
left field is only 330. Same thing with a short 3-4 foot fence.
I don't know.
They have the shortest center field in baseball at 395.
Why do people act like Dodger Stadium is such a pitcher's friendly ballpark? Then?
Because the alleys are deep. The alleys are like 375, 380.
And ask Jimmy Rollins that he had no issue with it.
Yeah, but like center field is only 395. Like it's a short field compared to most fields.
Fair enough. What's Wrigley's dimensions then?
355 down the lines, 368 and 400.
Okay.
But then you're hitting into a 40-mile-an-hour wind off the lake, so 355 becomes 410 down the line.
Fair enough.
I mean, a prime example is Kyle Schwarber last year. Kyle Schwarber hit a ball 117.8 off the bat with an estimated distance of 463 off the bat, and his ball was caught on the warning track because of the wind coming off the lake.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this whole thing is just going to become. I think we could both be in agreement. This may still get worse before it gets better. I think the only thing this kind of does is it hurts the players when it comes to negotiating this whole cap floor thing.
What I think this could do, though, I think it could actually speed up the talks. So I was kind of convinced that once the season started, you weren't going to have any talks until after the World Series and everything was over. Yeah. Now that this happened, I could see talks maybe starting in the middle of the season. Because if the players don't have a rep by that point, it's highly unlikely they're going to get one established and put in place by the time the actual talks begin. So why not at least start discussing some of the things as the season goes over so the players can build up some sort of a case where if they do end up getting a rep come the actual negotiating period, then they have all the cases they want to bring to the table for that new rep. So I do think that in a way this could at least get the talks to speed up sooner than what they would.
I absolutely agree. Also, real quickly, to our couple comments flying in. Morning, Dalton. What's up, buddy? Our friend over at the 302 Birds. What's up, Andrew? Go, Phils. Andrew, we'll be talking some Phils in a little bit, so hang around. We got you covered. We're going to be talking some Castellanos and some Bryce Harper stuff. So,
you're supposed to go for it.
Hey, you know what? Well, let's jump into it now. Since Andrew's asking, we'll give the fans what they want. I don't believe him when he says that what Dombrowski said last October didn't bother him.
Oh, it did.
Oh, 100% bothered him. And honestly, I almost feel like, did you listen to the little media session he had over the weekend about this?
Yeah.
It almost is like, to me, and then, he started talking about the Dodgers and, like, he likes what they're doing. I almost feel like that was him trying to say, well, no offense, Dave, you haven't been much elite since you got here, so. Which look, that's my guy. Bryce Harper's my guy. I've been a Bryce Harper guy since he was in Washington. Since Palvon choked him out, I've been a Harper guy. But, and look, Dalton's up and close with the situation too. He runs his 302 Birds podcast. They do all Philly sports. They're very close to this as well. But, like, in my opinion, Dalton, it's not even just Harper. The entire city has the right to be upset with Dave Dombrowski. This is a guy that is structured on paper. Now, look, we have to see. Maybe Otto Kemp and Brandon Marsh as a platoon works out, right? I'm not saying that. Maybe Justin Crawford, I'm a Justin Crawford guy. I think he's going to be a good contact hitter. He's going to get on the bases and wreak havoc. I'm not saying that. But on paper, he's statistically put together one of the worst outfields in baseball. He has not hit on an outfielder since coming to Philadelphia. He missed on Whit Merrifield. He missed on Austin Hayes. He missed on Max. You miss on a player like Max Kepler when he gets busted for PEDs and he still stinks.
The only two outfielders he actually hit on don't even play outfield anymore.
And the one that he hit on at last year's trade deadline, they let leave for $200,000.
Bader.
Bader's making like $10.2 million with the Giants. And the Phillies could have. I mean, he had an option that they both declined for $10 million, but the Phillies could have brought him back for the same thing a few months later, and they let him walk. Mm-hmm. And now we're sitting here with Brandon Marsh, who's okay until there's a fastball up in his chest. Otto Kemp, who I think can be good against left-handed pitching. Justin Crawford, who, yes, I'm high on, but we haven't seen him play yet. And Adolis Garcia, who has gotten worse every year since 2023. What is that supposed to... What am I supposed to be excited about?
That they're cutting payroll?
Oh, my God. I don't...
See, the thing with Garcia... I think it might be higher on him than you are. Because I think Garcia is going to actually have a decent season in Philadelphia, mainly because of the park he's going to now. Mainly because he is going to have a little bit of protection in that lineup, because chances are he's going to hit right after Bryce Harper and right before JT Realmuto, so he's going to hit between both of them. So you're probably going to go a lineup like Schwarber 1, Turner 2, Harper 3, Garcia 4, Realmuto 5. So he's going to get his chances to produce runs where he's going to be hitting.
Well, yeah, because Hopper did say the top three, those, what you just said, those are the top three. Not the order is a little he may switch it up here and there. Schwarber may lead off some days, but there's still talks of Alec Bohm hitting cleanup, and I don't want to go through this again.
Bohm should be hitting 6 or 7 is where he should be hitting.
Bohm should be back. Bohm should be on another team, and Alex Bregman should be here. But I'll keep that opinion to myself.
You cannot have Bregman.
Cubs guy, Phillies guy. Great match. Great combination here.
You can have him in 3 years when his contract starts looking bad.
Real quick, Andrew said it's been 4 months later, and he brought it up. I think it motivates him. I think he's going to have a great year. Oh, Andrew, I agree. I think Harper. My bigger issue with Harper has nothing to do with what Dave said. My issue is, what is the health of that wrist? Because that has been something that has been plaguing him now for 2 years, and it's definitely seen it. You saw it. It's something is up with that wrist. I don't know if he had something done with it. Maybe, he had something that helped thin his blood out during the offseason or something. I think maybe that helped it. I don't know. But if that wrist is healthy, then I'm confident in Bryce Harper still. But that's the thing. Then Harper came out and said, well, stuff like that doesn't motivate me. That's clearly a lie, because do I have to remind everyone of the Orlando Arcia incident 2 postseasons ago? He said, attaboy Harper. Bryce Harper came out, hit 2 home runs against the Braves. It stared Arcia down so bad, he can no longer be on a major league roster.
The thing that bothers me about what Dombrowski said, and this is me not even being a Phillies fan, this is just me being a huge fan of Harper because I've always loved Harper myself. The guy hit 261 last year with 27 home runs and 75 RBIs. Now, granted, that is not what you would consider $35 to $40 million worth of a player. But if that's what you're getting out of Bryce Harper in a down season, when he wasn't clearly healthy, why the hell are you freaking complaining? Because that is a good season for a lot of outfielders in today's MLB. And that is a down season for Harper.
That'd be Alec Bohm's best season.
Like the RBIs were really down, but 261 average, Major League Baseball's average across the board is 244.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm okay with the RBIs. Actually don't concern me, because yes, he's only had 100 RBIs once as a Philly, and that was in 2019. 2021, he had 84. He won the MVP. 2022, he got the I think that was the year he got the thumb injury, and then 2022. 2023 was coming back from Tommy John, so he missed about a month and a half, so that's down. But the reason that this past year, he only had 75. Well, yeah, that's because the guy in front of him hit 56 home runs and drove in 140. So there were no RBIs to get because Kyle Schwarber took them all. So I'm not even worried about that. And I'm not even saying Bryce Harper's. I love Bryce Harper. I'm not off. I'm Team Bryce Harper. Dave Dombrowski can go kick bricks. I'm tired of listening to him talk. And we have a good club. We really have a good club. We outscored the reigning champs in our series. Yes, yeah. Dave, thank you. You outscored the Dodgers and you lost the damn series. Thanks, Dave. I didn't know I needed to have baseball 101.
The season that Bryce Harper had is last year. Take the average away, I think is what Adolis Garcia is going to do this year. I think Adolis Garcia is going to give you 25 to 30 home runs, 75 to 80 RBIs, but he's probably only going to hit about a 230 because he's not an average hitter. But if that's what you're going to get out of Adolis Garcia this year, for $9-10 million, whatever he signed for, that's a freaking bargain.
Yeah, it was 1 for 10 they gave.
Yeah, like if you get 27 home runs and 80 RBIs for Garcia at $10 million, that's a bargain. That's why.
Oh, yeah. And
I'm a huge fan of Garcia. I think he's better suited as a DH, but obviously you have a DH. So you need to throw him out there. When you have Max Kepler, injecting himself with horse tranquilizers, you need someone to replace him.
Okay. When Andrew asked about what do we think about it, yeah, like you're giving your thoughts on it, and I like Garcia. I think Garcia could have a good year. It's not about Adolis Garcia that I have the issue with. It's the fact that it's the same philosophy that Dombrowski and sorry guys, and Dalton, if you're still watching, John Middleton's another one because John Middleton's closed the checkbook up the past couple of years on Dombrowski too. I don't want to think like this whole thing's on Dave. Dave can only do with what he's given. He don't control the bank accounts. That's Mr. Middleton, who clearly when he said stupid money clearly had a limit. And no, I'm going to tell you all now, the Phillies have not spent stupid money since 2019. The Dodgers are stupid money. The Phillies have spent a lot of money. Let me just get to some of these comments. They are flying in this morning. Guys, appreciate the comments and checking out the show. Appreciate it. Andrew, so right now the rotation for opening day will look like Sanchez, not in this order because I don't know how they may split up Luzardo and him, but it's going to be Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, Painter, and Taijuan Walker. And of course, when Wheeler gets healthy, which should be late April, early May, probably move Taijuan back to the bullpen, and then you'll have Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, and Painter. Andrew, here's the thing. If they're in contention, they're not going to trade him because who are you trading for? Who are you going to get to put there? They had 2 opportunities in the past 2 off seasons, and they failed to do it. So the best, what you're going to get 1 of 2 scenarios. Bohm's going to play out the year and go sign somewhere else, or sanity may strike and they may extend him, which that already scares me enough. But the only way that guys like Bohm get traded in July is if the Phillies are out of contention, which, Dustin, I think even you and I could agree that a lot of stuff has to go wrong for that to happen.
Yeah. They're going to be in contention, so I mean, I could see Bohm getting traded away earlier for a team that is in desperate need of a third baseman. Because there is a name that's still out there that if you traded Bohm, you could add him right away. Isaac Paredes.
And we know, Isaac Paredes is Mr. Metric Stat because we know what short fences do for his career. So
that's what I'm saying. So, if they wanted to make the move, like if somebody was desperate for a third baseman and wanted to trade for Bohm, let's just say in May already because their third baseman's out for the year, adding Paredes right away is a move the Phillies could make. So it's not like they'd be losing much because Paredes is going to put up similar numbers than what Bohm does offensively, but he's going to hit for a higher average. He's just not as good defensively, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like Bohm's not Scott Rowland. I'm not.
No, Paredes looks like someone's got a stick up his ass when he's playing third. He just has no flexibility over there.
Well, that's what Bohm looks like at the plate. But anyway, and Andrew brings up a good point here. Trading Bohm, it could. Aiden Miller's another guy because he's probably going to start out at AAA. I believe he had a cup of coffee up there in September last year. That's someone there. There are 3 guys you're going to hear from real quickly: Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter, Aiden Miller. Aiden Miller is a guy that they are excited about, and he's going to get a lot of reps, and he's going to be at that complex during a lot of spring training because I know, you hear the reports that guys get sent down to the minor league facility quickly in spring training. some of these guys are going to be over at the World Baseball Classic. So Miller's going to be on the spring training roster for a while, working at third base. He'll get reps at shortstop, maybe some reps at second, but it looks like Aiden Miller may be their third baseman within the next couple years. So that's where if they believe that he will be up at some point this year, Alec Bohm may survive the season. He is not getting re-signed because I think their projection is if there is a season in 2027, Aiden Miller is their third baseman because they are extremely high on Aiden Miller.
They are. But here's
Andrew,
the other question. Here's the other question, though, quick.
Shoot.
Based on that, now that he put that up there, as high as they are on Aiden Miller, right? Knowing that Ranger Suarez is gone, and the uncertainty that Zach Wheeler might not be the Zach Wheeler of old, do you dangle Aiden Miller in trade talks to try to get a starter? That's where extending Bohm might come into play because Paul Skeens, Tarik Skubal, some of these guys who are not going to be with their team beyond the seat. Well, Skubal will be for a little bit, but Skeens will be with his team for a while yet. But Skubal, a guy who has made it perfectly clear that he's not going to re-sign with the Tigers next year. If you're in contention and Wheeler isn't the Wheeler of old, why not go all in for Skubal? Give up Aiden Miller and give up a plethora of pieces and get Skubal to anchor that rotation. Because Detroit doesn't have a third baseman either.
No, but the problem is that I am in fear of is they're going to want like two of the three. Do they want Miller and Painter? Do they want Miller and Crawford? And I'm not opposed to like entertaining the idea.
Honestly, I think they'll go Miller and Painter because they have. Well, I think they go Miller and Crawford because they still have Valdez, they still have Verlander. They're going to have Cody Mize yet. They're going to have the other guy coming back from Tommy John next year. So they're set for pitching.
Yeah, they have Jackson Jobe. So
like they don't really have an outfielder, which is where Crawford comes in. And then obviously they don't have a third baseman. You go Aiden Miller and Crawford and maybe throw in another couple mid-tier prospects for Skubal. I make that deal.
I would highly consider it, but like I said, I think the Phillies are at a point now where like they know the window isn't going to ever completely shut, but it's starting to shut on this regime. I mean, Castellanos is gone. They are going to start having to get younger, and I mean, your core guys are still going to be here. Harper's going to be here, Turner's going to be here, Schwarber's going to be here. Unfortunately, JT's here for 3 more years, and probably will look like Jay Taylor from Major League by next year. But either way,
no, he'll look like Rube Baker.
Oh, no, no. Don't ever disrespect JT and call him Rube Baker. Come on now. But in my opinion, I just feel like they're going to want to get – this is what we should have expected. And I'm a victim of this too. I was calling them out like, oh, they haven't done anything. I'm getting sick and tired of this. They're not buying. They did say that they want to start to get younger players more playing time up here. Otto Kemp is another guy. I mean, he's not 22. He's like 25, but they want to play him with Brandon Marsh in left field. They want Painter in the rotation, which, by the way, Andrew, that is why Ranger is not here. They wanted a guaranteed spot in the rotation for Painter. They knew Ranger was probably going to get a good deal somewhere, and that's why he's not here. I knew Ranger Suarez was gone the second the season ended. It just because they want Painter up here and they want to see what he has. They wanted to make sure he had a guaranteed spot. Mm-hmm. And the Zach Wheeler news helps that a little bit too because, Wheels will probably be out for the first month of the season, maybe a little bit longer, but they really believe that no later than early May will he be back. So that's going to help them a lot. But still, no, we're at the point now where they want to get younger. I think Bohm's going to be going after the year too, but this team, and like I said, I'm not the hater. I don't hate Adolis Garcia, the player. I hate the Phillies' philosophy of thinking with Adolis Garcia. It's just like, it's always every year worrying about, can this guy bounce back? Well, why don't we get a guy that doesn't have to bounce back?
Well, here's the thing, though. Why are the Phillies lost the last 2 years in the playoffs?
Well, this is, I know exactly where we're going with this, but I'll answer in a sec, but I just want to say this. I'm in complete agreement with where I think this conversation is about to go. It's because the big guys that are paid here, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, JT, all these guys, nobody's hit in October.
Adolis Garcia can hit in October. So I think
Oh,
that's
we know
ultimately why the Phillies are bringing him in. They're willing to sacrifice. If he has a down year or he has not the year he would expect him to have in the regular season, as long as he shows up when the lights are the brightest, I think the Phillies don't give two craps what he does during the regular season. Because nobody else on that team could hit the playoffs.
Ever since the 2023 NLCS against Arizona, it's been the same thing. The bats failed. Well, actually, no. I'll go one further. It started in the 2022 World Series. They didn't hit against Houston. They didn't hit after Game 5 against Arizona. They didn't hit against the Mets. They didn't hit against the Dodgers. That's what we keep saying. I understand people want all these big names like, oh, we want a Kyle Tucker. First of all, I don't think Kyle Tucker is a guy you sign to be the needle mover on a team. I don't think Kyle Tucker is the best player on a good team.
I don't think Kyle Tucker's nearly as good as what people think he is.
I don't need. I think he's good. I don't think he is like let's go to Houston. Was he the best player on the 2022 Astros? No. You got Altuve. You got big Jordan. So no, yeah, I'm not.
Just ask Jose Alvarado about Jordan Alvarez.
Let's not ask Jose Alvarado about Jordan Alvarez, and let's not remind me about Jordan Alvarez, okay?
That ball's still rolling to El Paso.
It probably is. But no, this whole thing, I mean, look, the Phillies, even with losing Ranger, are going to have a top rotation in baseball as long as everybody's healthy. If Wheeler comes back, if Luzardo can build off of last year, if Sanchez is still as good as last year, if Aaron Nola can get back, if Painter is who they think he is, this rotation could still be one of the top 8 in baseball. They're going to pitch. The pitching wasn't the issue last year. They have to hit. When I'm paying Bryce Harper $25 million, when I'm paying Trey Turner whatever he's making, when I'm paying Kyle Schwarber, I expect, when I'm paying JT $15 million, I expect you guys in October to carry the freaking lineup. When they were getting to the World Series, that's how they did it. Because those guys hit. They were smashing. And now, I will say, if they were looking to add somebody just for some locker room vibes and maybe some pop off the bench, or depending on what he wants to do at this point, I'm still not opposed to bringing back Rhys Hoskins, because I think that's what killed the team in 23 is not having Rhys. Because you want to talk about someone who performs in October, go ask the Padres how Rhys Hoskins performs in October. You couldn't name a starter to get him out.
I mean, last year with the Brewers, he was 0 for 9.
That is true. That's not Philadelphia.
I think Rhys Hoskins would be a good fit to bring back. You can spell Bryce Harper at first base every now and then. If Schwarber needs a day off at DH, obviously you stick Rhys Hoskins there. If Schwarber has like a stretch where he's facing a couple tough lefties, you got Hoskins you can throw in there to be DH.
If you need a late inning right-handed power bat off the bench, there you go. I mean, if Otto Kemp is starting, so... All right, Andrew. Andrew's asking me what's my opening day lineup. If just how I think Rob Thompson thinks, I'm assuming it's still going to be Turner leading off, because Turner had a really good year last year. I think Schwarber's still going to be hitting second. Harper's going to hit third, but I could see them changing Harper and Schwarber so Harper gets more pitches to see. So I could see that. But I'm going to stick to that'll be your top 3. I still think early on in the year, Bohm's going to start out hitting cleanup. I think Adolis will be hitting 5th. I hope JT's hitting 6th.
I think Bryson Stott will be hitting 6th.
So Stott would be my 7th hole hitter then. So then Stott would hit 7th. And then, no, I'll go Marsh/Kemp. Whoever's playing left field will hit 7th. Stott will hit 8th. And then Crawford will hit 9th, because I think they've already said Crawford's basically going to be the 9-hole hitter. So that's how my opening day lineup would be. It depends on who's playing, which I believe we play Texas the first week. So I get DeGrom, Mackenzie Gore, and Nathan Eovaldi. So thanks, Major League Baseball. So a lot of Brandon Marsh early on. But Kemp's going to hit against lefties. So I will say, I went to a game last year when Otto Kemp was up here, and I was sitting about 15 rows from home plate. Mm-hmm. He made contact on a single to left center field. I thought the freaking ball exploded. He's got a tough arch swing, Otto Kemp. I think Kemp, with the right amount of plate appearances, could be a pretty productive platoon player here. Now, he can't be an everyday guy in the infield because he's not a good fielder. Third base, he's awful. First base, he's okay. But Left field, good luck. Let's see how it works. But
Right.
now I want to go back up a few comments here. Where was it? Okay, Andrew asked, "What are our thoughts about the Castellanos situation?" Oh, yes. Oh, well, hold on, real quickly, Andrew. That's great. So we'll get shut out for 3 straight games, and then for 3 games we have batting practice. Awesome. Who doesn't love a good national sweep?
Donald Trump. I mean,
Okay, that's the end of hitting home. But all right, Dustin, I want to let you go first on this whole Castellanos situation because apparently this was an ugly situation from the start.
I love Castellanos. Always have. Hated when he left the Cubs because Wrigley Field was the perfect park for him. But man, did he turn into a clubhouse cancer. And I don't know. He's got to consider himself fortunate that somebody picked him up as soon as they did. Granted,
What a clubhouse.
Granted, it is a minor league deal, but he's got an invite to spring, and you know damn well he's going to make the team, just because.
What a clubhouse that is.
Yeah, he's basically trying a new position now. He's playing first base, so we'll see how that works for him this year. But the bat still plays. It doesn't play as well as it once did, but the bat still plays. It's just that clubhouse that he's going to now is going to be a freaking circus. Kind of wish I was a fly on the wall in that clubhouse because that's going to be. Who needs Hard Knocks for the NFL? We need to get like Hard Knocks for the Padres clubhouse and call it something else because that's going to be a very interesting team dynamic.
Oh, Andrew's going. He's on both.
He'll make the team for $750,000, which is what the Padres are paying him because the Phillies are on the hook for everything else. He'll make the team.
And the thing here, so I'll dive deep into what happened over. So we saw Nick, he put the Instagram photo of the handwritten letter, which, by the way, the most Nick Castellanos thing you could think of, a handwritten letter. But apparently, the incident in Miami is what did it in. And the reports came out, this started before he even signed in Philadelphia 4 years ago, because the Phillies were the only team that were offering him the 5 for $100 million. And apparently, after he got that offer, he went to his agent and asked him to find another team to see if they would come to those same terms, because he really didn't want to come to Philadelphia. First of all, Castellanos did himself in when he bought Ben Simmons' house, so that's the first strike you have. Yeah. But the incident in Miami is what did it in. Apparently, from what he said, he brought a beer into the clubhouse and he broke an unwritten team rule. However, Matt Gelb's article that came out, I believe, like maybe 45 minutes after. Now, Nick, of course, is saying that it's a lie and all that, but Matt Gelb is one of the most respected beat writers in Philadelphia. He works for The Athletic. He is accurate to everything he does. He goes on, he was on 97.5 and said, I asked 3 people per story I put in that article, and I got the same information from all of them, is that he said something to Rob Thompson that night that made grown men, meaning his teammates, feel uncomfortable. I can only imagine what he was that he said. But there were people in the organization that were trying to figure out how to not make Nick Castellanos and his situation a complete media mess hole every day. They were saying that prominent players were distancing themselves from him and just playing nice for the sake of the baseball team. Prominent players does not mean Bryson Stott and Edmundo Sosa. That means guys like leader, Bryce Harper, Real Muto, Schwarber. This apparently got really ugly, and it's been going on for a while. There were times that there were reports that he was playing loud music in a clubhouse after a loss, but he had 3 hits, so he was happy. Castellanos, this situation got ugly, and it seems like it was ugly from the start, but it turned its head real quick once it got to that situation in Miami, and that seemed to be the last straw. And, they said that he felt like he was being disrespected from the moment he got here. It's like, well, Nick, you kind of stunk your first year here, so Yep, Andrew, they did. They said he would have a 3-hit game, but they would lose the game 9-1, and he would blast the music. And it seemed like his attitude weared thin in the clubhouse for the past few years, but this past year, that whole incident in Miami is like the knife in the back that ended the whole thing. So, in my opinion, look, the Phillies clubhouse, all you hear are great things. It's a close knit group. I mean, you got the daycare with Marsh and Stott and Bohm. You got your clubhouse leaders. You got Bryce. You have JT. You have Schwarber. Everyone in that clubhouse is damn near loves each other. But Castellanos seemed like his relationship in there weared thin, and well, now he's not here. So,
I mean, if he keeps up what he's been doing, he's going to end up, out of baseball in general, and then playing for the Akron Creamsicle Donuts. So,
oh my God, what are you? What?
you didn't see the picture I sent you last night?
I know. No, I didn't actually. When did you send it to me?
Look at the text message.
Oh
11:05
yeah,
p.m.
I was in bed by then. Oh my God. Yeah, this whole. I have a couple of little.
He'll be a part of the Akron Cream Stick Donuts if he's not careful, and then he can bring in all the cream-filled donuts he wants.
Let me see if I can find some of my Twitter bookmarks that I had on this Castellanos situation. I do have a few. All right, so here's one that I found that had to do with him signing here, and it said, no other team was willing to meet the offer Dombrowski made. In the hours before Castellanos agreed to his deal, league sources said he implored his agent to find another club that would offer him the same terms, but Philadelphia has the best chance of making generational money and playing for a winner. There were also reports that the biggest amount of heat that he had in the clubhouse was with Rob Thompson and with hitting coach Kevin Long. Apparently, according to what Nick has said in the past, is I can't respect the opinions of people who didn't wield a bat in the majors, which, okay, Nick, we get it, but some of the best managers in baseball are the ones that didn't play the sport really, so.
Or some of the best managers in baseball are lifetime backup catchers and lifetime backup players that sit on the bench 90% of the season, and they see things differently than most players see things.
All right, so here's another one that came up in this article. Numerous players had grievances with management regarding strategy or usage. These were usually expressed in private settings. Castellanos was different. He was the most outward with his situation with two people, Thompson and hitting coach Kevin Long. He did not trust them. He told teammates because they had never played in the majors. In September, Castellanos appeared on Mookie Betts' podcast On Base with Mookie Betts and reiterated his stance in general terms. The only opinions I honestly care about are from the ones that have carried the stick, Castellanos said. The ones that have put on gloves and put on the cleats. So, yeah, this whole situation got ugly, and it got ugly quick.
Well, here, I guess, so he said he doesn't trust those guys because they didn't play in the majors, right?
Basically what he's saying.
So let me read off a list of all of the hitting coaches in Major League Baseball as of July 7th of last year. Obviously, some hitting coaches have changed now. The Athletics had Tommy Everidge. Orioles had Cody Ash. The Red Sox had Peter Fatse. The Guardians had Grant Fink. Yes, Fatse is his last name. The Guardians had Grant Fink. The Tigers had Michael Brader. The Astros, Alex Cintrone. The Royals, Alex Zumwalty. Angels, Johnny Washington.
Can we have like a Chris Johnson so we have a normal name, please? Holy crap.
Yeah. Though Johnny Washington for the Angels. Minnesota Twins had Matt Borgashelty. James Rosen for the Yankees. Kevin Seitzer for the Mariners. Tampa Bay Rays had Chad Matala. Rangers had Brett Boone, who was a former MLB player. Blue Jays, David Popkins. The Braves, Tim Hayes. The Cubs, Dustin Kelly. The Reds, Chris Valaika. The Rockies, Jordan Pacheco. The Dodgers, Robert Van Scoyoc. The Marlins had Pedro Guerrero. The Brewers, Alex LaBeouf. The Mets had Eric Chavez. The Phillies, Kevin Long. Pirates, Matt Haig. Padres, Vic Rodriguez. And the Nationals had Darnell Coles. There really aren't too many former Major League players who are hitting coaches, and if they were former Major League players, they're not well-known players. So Castellanos' argument on that these guys, I don't trust these guys because they never played in the majors. There's probably only 7 teams in Major League Baseball that have a former major leaguer, and when I say a former major leaguer, like an actual former good major league player like Brett Boone as your hitting coach. Most hitting coaches were either never in the majors or they were seen as career backups who just learned a lot from sitting on the bench.
Yeah. This whole situation got ugly. And at first I was like, maybe, there were just some situations that wore thin, maybe. And I mean, I know Nick was upset strictly because he got pulled from a game. Another big reason why he was upset was it was in Miami where a lot of his family is, and they were at that game. So that's another big reason why this really ruffled Nick the wrong way. Nick felt like he was disrespected since coming to Philly since day one. Another thing that states in the article, it's a lot of stuff to read. We'll be here all day if I read the whole thing. So, but at the end of the day, Nick Castellanos, and the unfortunate reason why this happened is because Nick was playing right field on this day in Miami. Nick Castellanos did not sign here to be the everyday right fielder. That's supposed to be Bryce Harper, but the elbow injury forced Bryce to play first base, and Nick had to play right field. And Nick was a professional about it. He went out there every day from the start of in the middle of 2022 up until this past year, and he was 100% okay with it. But he was not a good defender. Not because he made a lot of errors, but I mean, if you look at the metric stats, like there are balls that Nick can't get to that others can. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, he's not a fast guy. I mean, it's like a giraffe running out there, and that's not a knock on Nick. He's a tall guy. It's not like I'm saying he wasn't a bad outfielder. He made a lot of big plays in right field during that postseason run. He also hit well in the postseason for the past couple of years when no one else did. And look, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think I like Nick too. I like his attitude sometimes. Like, did you see Otto Kemp's wife when they found out Nick got released? They went on Instagram and thanked them. Apparently, when Otto was called up to the big leagues, Castellanos and them opened up their home for him and his wife to stay there because Otto had nowhere to stay. So, I mean, the Orion Kerkering situation, Dustin, I'm sure we all know what happened with that now with the throw, and it went behind. I don't want to talk about it. But either way, the first guy to go up to Orion and console him over that was Nick Castellanos. I don't think Nick's a bad guy. I just think he has an attitude about it. And sometimes he approaches things differently than others, and some people like it, some people don't. And right. at the end of the day, it was time to leave Philly. He's going to get paid his $20 million. He's in San Diego, and the Phillies now are rolling with Adolis Garcia, who I think he'll be productive here. But Andrew, here's the problem. The biggest issue with that is the only way the Phillies could trade him is if somebody would take off a couple million of that contract. Clearly, nobody was going to do that. But again, Andrew, if you read that Matt Gelb article and you read all the things that happened, why would you trade for that? Mm-hmm. If all the things that happened in that Matt Gelb article really occurred, like the Miami situation they said was ugly, why would a team trade for that in their locker room? And again, if they knew the Phillies were going to release him, then they're not going to trade for him. They're going to say, okay, well, look, you clearly aren't going to have him back next year because of what he caused at your clubhouse. We'll wait till spring training when you're going to have no choice but to release him, which they did. They basically told Nick, hey, don't come to spring training. We're going to release you. And, I mean, that's how bad it got. They want him to report for the first couple of days of the freaking workouts.
Right.
So, Andrew, in my opinion, it was going to be release him. regardless. Now, of course, you want to do your due diligence. You want to see if you can get something in return, if you can get someone to eat some of the money. They clearly didn't luck out and get that. But at the end of the day, it's over and done with. They're moved on. And now we are preparing for the first year without Nick. And we'll see what happens. I think Adolis will be fine. I think Adolis is already an upgrade defensively over Nick. You kind of upgraded there. Now, Castellanos last year hit 250 with 17 home runs and 72 RBIs. I would hope Adolis can give me a little more than that. I mean, I'm not expecting. I mean, if he hits 250, that's like hitting 300 for some people. But again, for Phillies fans with Adolis Garcia, if you are expecting him to come in here and hit 275, you are completely mistaken. But yeah, the whole thing, it's ugly, but it's over and done with. So, but all right, Dustin, let's dive into some other. We have two other pretty decent moves that happened over the past week. Two of the top starting pitchers have found homes. Chris Bassett, 1 year, $18.5 million back to go to Baltimore. Zach Gallen, 1 year, $22 million to return to Arizona. What do we have for our thoughts there?
The Gallen move is funny because that is essentially the qualifying offer that he rejected. So he rejected the qualifying offer, waited for 3.5 months, realized he wasn't going to get what he was wanted, so he just took the qualifying offer anyways. That's literally what he did. So his deal, I really don't have too much to say on it just because I don't think it was smart for him because if there is no baseball next year, now you're looking at basically you had a chance to lock in a multi-year deal and still gotten paid. Now you're going to go a season where you possibly don't get paid if there's no baseball just because you didn't get a 3 or 4 year deal like you wanted, but most of the deals you were getting were 2. I'm sorry, 2 years at $34 million, getting $17 million for not playing baseball is better than getting 1 year of not being paid at all. So, I mean, he might regret that one. Bassett got what I thought he was going to get, a 1 year deal in the 15 to 20 million range. I did not see him going to the Orioles. I thought he would end up back in Toronto, but that is a good addition to the Orioles rotation for a rotation that needed another arm. So now you're getting a durable middle of the rotation starter that you know is going to give you 30 plus starts and about 170 innings per year.
And it's somebody who is got experience pitching in that division. Boston, New York, Toronto. So you have someone who's used to pitching in the AL East. So that is big. And again, actually both their acquisitions. Shane Baz, same thing. But yeah, I thought they would have pivoted to Gallen as soon as Fromber signed away. I thought Gallen made a little more sense because he was more of like the top of the rotation type. But again, Gallen's coming off a poor year. I agree with you with Gallen. I understand, if I'm going to take a 2 year deal, I might as well take a 1 year deal and go back to Arizona. But again, with the uncertainty of next year and if we even have a baseball season, you're going to make your $22 million, and then what? It's not like you're going to say, "Oh, well, hey, I can go back, replenish my market, and go back on the open market next year." You don't even know if there is a market next year.
That's why a 2 year, $38 million deal would have been a better offer because even if there's no baseball, you're still getting that money.
Yeah, you still have security. So, but I mean, Arizona's basically just trying to run it back. They already signed Merrill Kelly back earlier this offseason after trading him to the Rangers last year. I don't know what to make of the Diamondbacks this year. I'm going to be completely honest. They got some good players, but I don't know what to make of them this year.
The Diamondbacks have good players, but the issue that I have, and I mean, the Corbin Burns injury, not having him is going to hurt that team, and I'm just. It's going to hurt that team. It really is.
Yeah, which ultimately is why they've had to bring back Kelly and Gallen because they know they're not going to have Corbin Burns, but they need guys to have better years like Brandon Pfaadt. He showed signs last year, but he was up and down. Ryan Nelson actually pitched pretty well when he became a starter. I mean, he was kind of like that long man starter role, but then he got into the rotation full time because of injuries, and he actually pitched pretty decent. But and you're saying the Corbin Burns injury, another big thing that's killed them is Eduardo Rodriguez has not been good since he signed in Arizona. He was solid everywhere else, but Eduardo Rodriguez has been awful in Arizona. So not only does Corbin Burns being hurt, but your other big free agent starting pitching acquisition hasn't panned out. So, by the way, Jason Stark just released. They did a voting poll on the best subtractions of the winter. Did you want to hear this list real quick?
Of course.
Here are the best subtractions for a team. Nolan Arenado for the Cardinals.
Okay.
Devin Williams for the Yankees. Anthony Rendon for the Angels.
Woo!
Luis Robert for the White Sox. Framber Valdez for the Astros. Marcus Semien for the Rangers. And guess who got the most votes?
What was this for again?
This is for Jason Stark and whatever an article that he was writing. They voted on who was the best subtractions. So
yeah.
Arenado, Rendon, and Devin Williams got 2 votes each. Framber and Luis Robert got 3 votes. Marcus Semien came in number 2 with 5 votes. Guess who got number 1 with 6?
Who?
Nick.
Nice.
Well, yeah, no, but back to what we were saying with like this whole situation with these starting pitchers. But no, Gallen, it is what it is. We'll see if he can kind of get back to the 2024, 2023 version of himself. Bassett's awesome. I think like you said, it's a guy who's going to give you 30 plus starts and over easily 160, 170 innings. They needed another arm in the rotation. And again, it's a guy I said earlier, it's a guy that has experience in the AL East and should hopefully help them out a lot.
Yep. I mean, now that you were kind of bringing that up, this is a little bit off topic, but not completely. So they were saying like, these are the guys like the best, basically subtractions, right? And Anthony Rendon has been somebody that the Angels have just been waiting for his contract to be up, just because that guy has enjoyed being on vacation more than playing baseball since he signed that contract with the Angels. It's getting to the point now where I don't know if you saw Chris Bryant's recent interview.
Yeah.
Chris Bryant, I think, is going to be forced to retire because the guy's had multiple back surgeries. It's not getting better. He's basically said he wakes up every morning is in so much pain he can't even walk. He doesn't even look at the scans and the reports the doctors give him because the doctors keep telling him they have no answers for why his back is the way it is. So he's basically the next Anthony Rendon, where he signed the massive deal to play for the Rockies, and the guy's missed more games than he's played. He's played in 170 games since 2022, since he signed that contract, and he's missed over 300 games. So he's missing more games than he's playing, and he's on the 60-day IL to begin the year again this year because he can't feel his back.
Ironically, he was the guy that the Phillies were interested in right before they signed Castellanos. They were thinking that they were going to bring Bryant in. Could you imagine how drastically things could have changed if they did? But no, yeah, it's a damn shame. And I think we talked about this last week. Chris Bryant will go down as a great player when he was healthy, but man, what could have been if he never started getting hurt?
And that's the thing. Like, that just goes to show you, like, I hate when people, like, criticize players because they struggle and this, and this, or whatever. Chris Bryant is a prime example of how quickly you can go from being on top of the world in Major League Baseball to just having your world come crashing down at the same time.
It does. Life in sports comes at you fast. We want to get into our AL and NL Central previews?
Yes, we can.
And we may have a little shorter of an episode this week, but fine by me.
Not fine by me.
Not fine by him. So, do we want to start with the NL or the AL Central?
We'll do NL.
All right.
Oh, no, sorry.
I have the AL.
AL first, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
We'll do AL.
All right. You want to kick us off? Are we doing what we did last time from worst all the way up? All right.
So the funny thing with the AL Central is I think this could be the most competitive division this year, but not necessarily in a good way. Like there's one team that's clear above everybody else. But then there are 4 teams that they may not look great on paper, but they're going to be very competitive. The only team that I think that is not going to be competitive at all at any point this year is the Twins. I think they're going to get dead last, and now that Pablo Lopez is having Tommy John, they're in a worse spot than what they were, apart from Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton. But I expect Joe Ryan to be dealt at the deadline. I expect Buxton to be dealt at that deadline, and this team is going to lose over 100 games this year.
I'm in agreement. I have the Twins finishing last.
Like, I mean, they brought in Derek Shelton, I believe, to replace Rocco Baldelli, which Derek Shelton's used to losing from being with the Pirates. So, I mean, this isn't going to be anything new to him, but at least he's going to go to an organization that's going to have patience.
Yeah, I'm at the Twins. That's just when they hired Derek Shelton, I'm like, yep, that's a tank move.
Right.
All right, so yeah, I'm in the same boat. We both have the Twins finishing last. My next team that I have the White Sox right in front of them.
I have the White Sox in front of them, but I do think the White Sox could be one of the more improved teams in baseball this year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but I can see them getting to that 74 to 75 win mark this year and kind of set themselves up for potentially a wild card spot in 2027 if we have baseball, or for sure the year after that. I mean, you look at some of the moves the White Sox made this year. They brought back Erick Fedde, which doesn't seem like a big move, but Erick Fedde actually pitched very well with the White Sox the last time he was there. They still have Shane Smith. They have Sean Burke. They brought in Anthony Kay from the either the Korean League or over in Japan. They added Sir Anthony Dominguez to the back of their bullpen, which was an issue for them last year, so they do have a bona fide closer now. They traded for Jordan Hicks, another guy who can be a back of the bullpen type pitcher. They brought in Sean Newcomb, who's going to be kind of a guy battling for a rotation spot and or long relief. They made the biggest surprise signing of the offseason when they added Munetaka Murakami. So Munetaka Murakami is going to come in and provide them some much-needed thump in that lineup that they haven't had. Vargas and Lenny Sosa had good years last year. They still have Chase Mydroft. They have Colson Montgomery, who had 21 home runs in only 58 games last year. And then they added Luis Angel Acuna as part of a trade this. So, I mean, they did add pieces. They do have a lot of young and unproven pieces. But sometimes having all these young and unproven pieces is a good thing because they don't play with fear. And they're not worried about striking. Yeah. They just go out and play baseball.
Another one they also added Austin Hayes, who in 103 games last year in Cincinnati hit 266 with 15 homers, 64 runs batted in.
So they don't, like I said, they don't have what you call a lot of star pieces, maybe apart from Murakami, but they have a lot of pieces that have had success. So if they even have if these pieces play to what the back of their baseball card shows in terms of what they typically average per year, this is going to be a much more competitive team.
Absolutely agree. I'm going to kick off my third place team because I think we may be a little different here in terms of how our top 3 shake out. I have the Guardians at number 3.
I have the Guardians at 3 also.
All right, then we're not different, damn it. I know last year they had that big run toward the end. They ended up winning the Central. I just don't see how the hitting, or I just don't know how they stack up with the Tigers or the Royals for that matter. I just don't see how they do it.
Yeah,
I know we're so used to the Guardians having this ultra strong pitching but I mean, they still have it. I mean, they brought in Sean Armstrong, who pitched well for Texas last year. They still have a decent rotation. They still have guys there.
They re-signed, obviously, Jose Ramirez. They still have Stephen Kwan. But, I mean, outside of those two, maybe Nolan Jones, they don't really have anybody in that lineup that scares you.
No.
And this is where the whole being a backup catcher, good manager argument comes into play. Stephen Vogt is one hell of a manager, but he was never a great baseball player. But he is one hell of a manager. He knows how to get the most out of the guys that he has in that clubhouse, which is why he's made the playoffs each of his first 2 years as a manager. He's won a Manager of the Year award already. But I mean, when you look at this rotation, Tanner Bibby, Gavin Williams, Slade, Sessione, Logan Allen, Parker Messick, and Joey Cantillo, none of those guys really scare you at all. But for whatever reason, they still find ways to win 90 games consistently because Stephen Vogt just knows how to manage. I just think this is one of those years where not having a Shane Bieber at the top of the rotation, not having a ton of protection next to Jose Ramirez does hurt them. I do still think they do have a winning record, though, maybe 83-79, but I don't see them making the playoffs this year.
I agree. All right, so I'm gonna let you go. I'll let you start off the top two. Who's your second place team?
I got the Royals at 2. I have the Royals as a team that can probably win 85 to 87 games. They're going to be fighting it out for probably the final wild card spot. I think they're going to be battling for. I mean, you look at the rotation. Cole Reagans, it's a very solid starter. Seth Lugo has turned himself into an ace since he got to the Royals. Michael Wacha is having a resurgence with Kansas City. Chris Bubich, a bona fide ace who's been on the deadline talk the last couple of years. So their top 4 is very solid. You have Noah Cameron, who's one of the more promising young arms in Major League Baseball right now, and he's probably going to have a breakout year this year. Bullpen is solid with Carlos Estevez and Lucas Ursig in the back of the 9th. They traded for Matt Strahm. Sorry, Philadelphia, you gave the Royals a very nice left-handed reliever there. So Matt Strahm is over there. They brought Jose Cuas back. Salvador Perez, you know what you're getting out of him. Vinny Pasquantino, one of my most favorite names in baseball, hands down, but he's a great player. Jonathan India, Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., bona fide MVP candidate every year. Like, the Royals have some young talent. Now it's just a case of can they put all that talent together, which I think you start to see some of that happening this year.
Yeah, I mean, I lost Dustin. We were doing so good.
This is not connection based. I don't know what it is.
We were doing good. We got almost an hour. We were doing good.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. But like, when you look at guys like Michael Garcia, I mean, he had a really good year last year. Hit 16 homers, drove in 74, stole 20 bases, hit 280. Vinny Pasquantino, again, I agree with you. One of the best names I think we could agree with in baseball. He is the big.
Didn't you see his jersey for Players Only Weekend? What it said on the back?
Nope.
Pasquatch?
No, I didn't. What did it?
Pasquatch? Instead of Sasquatch, they call him Pasquatch.
But I mean, he is the deal breaker, because if he is still producing runs like he's had over the past 2 years, then they're in good shape.
And obviously, Bobby Witt is Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt's a freaking stud. And that leaves the favorites at the top, the Tigers.
I mean, I realistically think as good as the Mariners are, as good as some of these teams are, I would not be surprised if the Tigers end up with the best record in the American League this year. I think a lot of that hinges on the Framber Valdez and Tarik Skubal combo at the top of that rotation. Like, you're taking Framber Valdez out of a hitter's park in Houston and putting him in one of the 3 best pitchers' parks in not only the American League, but all of Major League Baseball. And with Houston, the guy was winning you 14, 15 games consistently, posting an ERA in the 3.4 range. You put him in Detroit, now you're probably getting 18 to 20 wins out of him with an ERA probably under 3 because of how that park is designed. You know what you're getting out of Skubal. I don't care that Justin Verlander's 43 years old. You're going to get a resurgence from Justin Verlander this year because this is probably his last year playing baseball. He's going to the place where it all started. He's going back to a pitcher's park. The only concerns I really have with the Tigers is their offense. Do they have enough offensive consistency to win 94-90 games? Parker Meadows being back healthy is going to help, but you haven't gotten the Javier Baez you expected to get. Can you count on Gleyber Torres to do what he's done the last couple of years? Can Spencer Torkelson bounce back and get back to where he was in the 23-24 era? They're a good team. They should be able, I mean, on paper, they're probably a 96 to 97 win team, which is what I think would take to win the American League best record-wise. But even at 91 wins, they're still going to win that AL Central by 6 or 7 games just because they're a mile ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, because I mean that was their hitting was the only reason why they didn't win it last year. That's why the Guardians were able to slip in there and take the division because their bats didn't hit. And like you said, can these guys all put it together again? And like Riley Green, I think you know what you're going to get from him at this point. I think he's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Zach McKinstry is another guy that I really think they could use a big year out of. So same thing with Kerry Carpenter. If those bats hit, then they are in good shape. But, I mean, rotation is second to none. I mean, you got Skubal and Framber, Mize, Flaherty, Verlander, and I know we're looking ahead to a year of uncertainty, but when you get Reese Olson and Jackson Jobe back healthy, then you're just – even if Skubal left, you're still in really good shape.
Yep.
But, all right, let's move over to the NL Central now, and then we're going to call it a day. I think we may be kind of close to the same on this one, too, actually.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have the Cardinals in last place.
Like, I do too, actually.
I cannot remember the last time the Cardinals took last place in the NL Central, let alone have a team on paper that could lose 100 games. Because they have pretty much gotten rid of every significant piece that they've had over the last 5 years, apart from Lars Nootbaar, who they're actually still trying to trade Lars Nootbaar, so there's not a guarantee that he's on this team the entire year either. No more Contreras, no more Brendan Donovan, no more Arenado, no more Sonny Gray. Like, every significant contributor they've had has been traded or has signed elsewhere in free agency, and this is a full-blown rebuild mode. So the Cardinals have finally done something that they have never done really in 3 decades.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly tear down, rebuild mode, and yeah, I have them finishing last too. I just don't see much excitement in 2026 in St. Louis, which is very hard to believe because of how well run and awesome the Cardinals organization has been over the past 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who you got finishing above the Cardinals?
So this was actually a coin flip for me. And I'm probably going to end up kicking myself later on for it because they do this every year. But I have the Brewers in 4th. They traded away Freddie Peralta, so they traded away their ace. They're counting on Brandon Woodruff coming back healthy and being their ace, which the guy hasn't been healthy in 3 years with that shoulder injury, so there's no guarantee that he ever gets back to that pre-injury. Their bullpen has a lot of questions, even though Trevor McGill did pitch well last year. They don't have a third baseman because they traded all their third basemen. They traded away their backup third baseman. There's still inconsistencies at shortstop. Can Andrew Vaughn do what he did last year with the Brewers? Probably not. I mean, you have Jackson Chourio, and can Christian Yelich stay healthy? The Brewers won 97 games last season and won the NL Central, right? They spent $3.5 million in free agency this year to sign Luis Rengifo. That's all they spent on free agency last year. Or this year. So they haven't done anything to add to that team besides losing a lot of key pieces. But we say this every year, like the Brewers are going to take a step back, and yet they continue to do what they've done. But at some point, the step back's going to happen. And I think this is the year that's going to happen.
Okay. Well, I am not in agreement on that. I have the Pirates finishing in 4th because I do like what they've done. Don't get me wrong. Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. Mitch Keller's still there. They have Nate Jones. I like that 3 at the top of the rotation. I like the Ryan O'Hearn signing. I love the acquisition of Brandon Lau. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Marcell Ozuna's given me. I haven't seen the Pirates yet, this Pirates team yet, so it's kind of hard to judge them. Like on paper, it looks a lot better, but what are you going to get on a daily basis from them? So outside of Skeens, Keller kind of needs a bounce back. Jones had some arm issues, but I still do like the Pirates. I think they could. Let me say this: there may not be a drastic drop off between the second place team in this division and the 4th place team.
Yeah,
you could see anywhere from 78 to 84 wins for all 3 of the next 3 teams. But because the Pirates have a lot of new moving parts, I want to see it on the field for a little bit. I have the Pirates finishing in 4th.
I have him in third just because of the moves they made. Like you said, Paul Skeens, best pitcher in baseball besides Tarik Skubal. You have Mitch Keller. You have Jose Urquidy, who they brought in, who was actually a very underrated part of the Astros rotation for a couple of years. So Jose Urquidy's there. Jared Jones will be back from his injury by June. So you're adding him to that rotation. Then you still have Braxton Ashcroft, Bubba Chandler, who's one of the Pirates' top pitching prospects, will be the number 5 once the season starts. Then
What a name.
Yeah, right. Then your bullpen, Dennis Santana's your closer. A lot of unproven pitchers in the bullpen, which is going to be kind of a work in progress. But then you look at the rest of that team. Like you said, they traded for Brandon Lau. They brought in Ryan O'Hearn. They brought in Marcell Ozuna, which that was one of the biggest issues for the Pirates last year, was not having enough power. Ryan O'Hearn and Marcell Ozuna are going to give you power. Brandon Lau will give you about 20 home runs. You still have Brian Reynolds. You still have O'Neal Cruz. The biggest issue the Pirates have had the past few years is not scoring enough runs. Frickin' Paul Skeens was under 500 last year with a 1.97 ERA because they do not give him run support. You give Paul Skeens 3 runs of support, the guy might win 25 games. And I'm not even kidding. The guy might win 25 games if you give him 3 runs of support.
He might break McLean's thing and win 31.
Like, that's why I think the Pirates could be even a team that gets to 500 this year, because we'll just say Paul Skeens makes 34 starts. If you give him 3 runs or more in 24 of those 34 starts, he's winning 20 of those games.
I don't disagree.
And if you look at how many games he won last year when he won 9, that's 11 more victories this year. Pirates won 71 games, I believe, last year. 11 more victories put you at 82 and 80.
Yeah, and that's like I said, second place to fourth place. That could be a 3 to 4 game difference between all 3 of these teams. But moving on to our next one, my third place team, I do have the Brewers. I don't see the drop off going from first to fourth. I have them going from first to third. But like you said, only bringing in Rengifo, trading Peralta, trading all your third basemen. Again, what you said with Vaughn, can he rebound? Can he have the start he had in Milwaukee last year? Can he do it again? We don't know. Is Christian Yelich going to be healthy? Jackson Chourio, even he had some hamstring issues last year. If that happens, if Chourio goes out for any long period of time, then they are screwed completely.
Or if Christian Yelich gets hurt again, because Christian Yelich was healthy for the first time in 4 years last year and drove in 104 runs. That was a big part of why they were successful. But if Yelich goes back to being hurt, that offense is nothing either.
I agree. So yeah, I have the Brewers hitting third in this year. So I guess that moves us to our top 2.
Perhaps the most scary team, in my opinion, in the National League. I have finishing second. I have them getting a wild card. But I have them as a team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs, and that's the Reds. I mean, you look at their rotation. Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, and Nick Lodolo are going to be your top 3. Not only are they young, but it's probably one of the best top 3s you can have, especially in a short playoff series. Right after that, you got Brady Singer, Rhett Lauder. So, I mean, you have a plethora of starting pitching talent. Graham Ashcraft moved from the rotation to the bullpen last year. So he's another guy that you can stretch out if needed. You have Tony Santillan and Emilio Pagan. And then you look at the offense. Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer, Matt McLean, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Ke'Bryan Hayes, who they traded for last year, which a full season in Cincinnati, not only is he one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball, but he'll have a better offensive season this year. You look at Elly De La Cruz, one of the more exciting players in baseball. And then the biggest frickin' steal of free agency was adding damn Eugenio Suarez for $15 million. You put this guy in Great American Ballpark for 81 games a season, he may hit 40 home runs just at Great American Ballpark.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm going to make a bold statement right now. I think Eugenio Suarez leads Major League Baseball in homers this year. I think he hits 60 home runs because he is going to tee off at Great American Ballpark.
I don't disagree. We've already seen him there once, and now we saw what he did in Arizona and Seattle,
And against
now
the
he's on back.
and against the NL Central, Eugenio Suarez is a 297 career hitter against the NL Central. He's a 364 hitter at Great American Ballpark, where he's going to be playing 81 games this year.
That Reds team could shock a lot of people.
Like I said,
I was listening.
Like I said, I think they're going to be an 87, 88 win team. But come the playoffs, that is a team that no one is going to want to see because of the Lodolo, Abbott, and Hunter Green top three, and knowing that Eugenio Suarez can just demolish anything in his path at Great American Ballpark.
I agree, and I was listening on MLB Network right before we started the show. That they were talking to Terry Francona, and he was reminding his team last year how it felt that day in Milwaukee when they clinched the postseason berth, and then he said, "How did it feel 3 days later when we got eliminated?" And I think Francona is the perfect guy for that team. He's a more experienced manager that was a younger team. Like I said, Ellie De La Cruz, one of the most exciting players in the game. Suarez, ridiculous power, good role players around them in that lineup. The rotation's good. I think the Reds are my second place team, but I could see first place being a toss up between them and what I believe is our first place team, which is the Chicago Cubs.
I don't think the Reds are quite there yet, just because they don't. From a pitching side of things, they're there, but they don't have, in my opinion, enough offensive pieces yet to be there. Yes, they have Suarez. Yes, they have De La Cruz. But apart from that, they don't have really anybody else that strikes fear in your lineup top to bottom. Whereas you look at the Cubs lineup, Alex Bregman, bona fide MVP candidate at one point in his career. Michael Busch had a breakout season last year with 35 home runs. Seiya Suzuki had 34 home runs and 102 RBIs last year. PCA is a stud, and he's only going to get better. And then you have Ian Happ. Struggles aside, you know what you're getting out of Ian Happ. Same thing with Dansby Swanson. Struggles aside, you know what you're getting out of Dansby Swanson. You have Nico Hoerner. Every single one of your infielders is a Gold Glove winner. You have a Gold Glover in Ian Happ. You have a Gold Glover in PCA. Seiya Suzuki's had Gold Gloves in the past in Japan. Defensively, there's no better team in baseball defensively. So that is ultimately why the Cubs have so much success, because their starting rotation, it has potential with Cabrera being there now. It has potential if Cade Horton can take that next step. Justin Steele will be back at some point late May. So your rotation has the potential to be an elite rotation. But realistically speaking, they don't have to have an elite rotation because of the defense behind them.
I mean, you round out that rotation, it still has Jameson Taillon, it still has Matthew Boyd. I mean, does Boyd give you the same thing that you saw last year? Maybe.
He doesn't have to, because the Cubs are going to be going with a 6-man rotation this year. They've already said they're going with a 6-man rotation because Steele's coming back from the injury. Matthew Boyd is known for injury, so you want to keep him healthy. Edward Cabrera is known for injury, so you want to keep him healthy. And ultimately, I think that's what hurt Shota Imanaga last year, is when he came to the Cubs from Japan, Imanaga was used to a 6-man rotation, pitching 1 game a week. His rookie season, the Cubs kind of kept him on that schedule. They would give him that extra day's rest, which is why he went 19-4 as a rookie with a 2.74 ERA. He was lights out as a rookie. Last year, they kind of put him on the major league rotation where you start every 4 days basically, and you're pitching sometimes 2 days a week. And he ran out of gas down the stretch. So I think they go back to that approach where you just go with the 6-man rotation to keep Imanaga kind of on that Japan schedule. And then, I'm not saying he's going to go 18-4 again, but even if you can get him to go 14-6, 14-7 this year, as opposed to the 9-9 that he was last year, that's a massive upgrade for the rotation.
And I mean, also they still have Colin Ray on that rotation too, who won 11 games last year.
He'll be in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, and that's a bullpen that's added a lot of arms. I mean, Phil Maton, Kobe Milner,
Hunter Harvey,
Jacob Webb. They just added Shelby Miller.
Yep.
Now, is that
he's out for
is he
this year.
Okay, so I was gonna say it's a 2-year deal. Is that a factoring that he's gonna be out the year? Okay. But the addition of Bregman, I think, is a better fit than Kyle Tucker was. The outfield's fine still. You still have Suzuki, still have PSA. Yes, I know the second half was a struggle. I'm not buying into that's who he is. We've seen PCA when he's on a heater, and Suzuki was good last year. Ian Happ is still a very solid outfielder. And like you said, a 4 Gold Glove infield is ridiculous, especially up the middle. You got to be strong up the middle. And what you have with Horner and Swanson, if Bush has another power season like he did last year, the Cubs will win the division without a doubt.
Horner, Swanson, PCA is your middle.
That's ridiculous. That's one of the best.
That's where balls go to die. Is up the middle.
Yeah, the Cubs. The Cubs are going to win that Central without a doubt. They just have a really good team. Anywho, do we have anything else we want to bring up today?
Just one thing I want to say about college baseball, since college baseball's opening weekend was last weekend. You can tell that the potential lockout is also lingering into college baseball because they had the most attended opening weekend in college baseball history last weekend in terms of people showing up. One game, I believe it was TCU and I want to say Oklahoma. 26,000 people showed up.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they were averaging across the board, they averaged 18,400 people last weekend for college baseball.
That's crazy. That's a lot.
Yeah, so the whole baseball going into a lockout, it's going to start having a trickle-down effect to college baseball where I think their attendance is going to go up, minor league attendance, all this stuff is going to go up because people are planning for not having Major League Baseball, so they're going to start taking it in other ways. And there was a guy for Baylor. I don't know if you heard this, but there was a guy for Baylor last week, and they had 3 grand slams in one game.
I did hear that.
Holy mercy.
That'd probably be the most in Marlins franchise history.
Like 3 grand slams in one day. Jack Bauer made his college debut on Saturday, I believe. Jack Bauer was the top high school pitching prospect. He was throwing 102 as a senior in high school last year. All he did in his first inning of work was strike out the side on 14 pitches.
The future of baseball's in good hands for all these kids.
Yeah. And he was throwing about 98 to 100 consistently with a 94-mile-an-hour back foot slider from the left side.
Good grief, man.
For an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to see an uptick in attendance in like college baseball, all that stuff, especially with the future of Major League Baseball being so much in question. But let's see what the Players Association does. Do they get someone that can help negotiate this whole thing? Or do we kind of just... Before we go, I do want to say, you said maybe some talks start before the offseason. I could see maybe around the All-Star break while we're on that little breather.
I think before that.
Oh, you think even before that?
I think it's going to start right away in May.
Yeah, because the ultimate goal is still not to have this happen.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we said and who's at fault and whatever, the main goal is to not have this stuff happen. But
because Ian Happ, who's the Chicago Cubs representative for the Players Association, they had an interview with him, and he basically said 80% of the CBA can be handled via paperwork. So there's a lot of things where it's just like, oh, that's fine, whatever. And he's like, the 20% of the stuff has to be handled in person, where if we get all the paperwork done and over with during the regular season, that makes everything so much easier when we actually have to go to the bargaining table, which is kind of where I feel like I think a lot of the stuff that can be handled via paperwork is just going to be done over conference calls throughout the regular season. They're going to get everything drafted up the way they want it to be drafted up, and then that's less things they got to cross when that actually gets time to have the discussions.
Yep. Look, we're going to have this conversation every week during the Major League Baseball season as we're talking about baseball, as we're talking about getting ready for the season. It's going to continue to come up, guys, but keep it here for Hitting Home. We're going to have our opinions and updates on it every week. Of course, we know Tony Clark is out as the lead representative for the Players Association. He is out now. We wait and see where they go from here with that. Do the talks start up earlier? Do we wait till the off season? All we know is that all we could do for you guys is keep you updated and keep giving you previews for this upcoming season. Look, guys, it's February the 18th. We're about a month away from the season. Don't look at the bad. Be prepared for the fun. And keep it here for Hitting Home for all your Major League Baseball updates. And with my lovely co-host over there, who is more of a baseball junkie than I am, which is very surprising. Any type of baseball that you want to talk about, he's got you covered. But guys, we're going to get up on out of here for this morning. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Thank you for Dalton and Andrew. Andrew, your first-time 609 commenter. Want to appreciate you and say thank you for all the comments you threw in today. Try to check this show out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. We try to throw this out here and get you guys some good baseball talk. So thank you guys for commenting in. Birds of the Gridiron this Friday, 8 p.m. Tyler and I will have some Eagles talk for you this week. And you know the rest of the schedule. This is every Wednesday at 10. And we got Unbiased on Mondays at 7. So, guys, thank you all for joining us this morning. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you guys later. For Dustin Reese, I am Sam Nelson. Good night, everybody. Well, good day, everybody.
The following has been a presentation of 609 Sports Talk Radio.
Sam, what did you do?